Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second round of PSGL F5 here for the second round in Hungary at the Hungaroring, which could prove pretty tricky for the drivers in terms of overtaking. This week, I am not alone. I am joined by Jake. Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. Only found out earlier today I was doing this, so it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do. There's not many familiar names to me here, but based on what I've seen of the last race, it should be a very close one.
Hopefully. But like I said, it could prove very tricky in terms of overtaking. We all know the nature of the Hungaroring. Obviously, if you're familiar with F1, you should know that it's not easy to overtake, especially with that second sector, especially on this game, where the dirty air is definitely a thing. So would you reckon that pole position today could even be like the main step to the race win today?
It could be crucial, but I think we've seen as well, certainly across some races I've seen so far, that the safety car can play a massive part in deciding a race, depending on the timing of it. If someone further down the field can make a pit stop at the right time, it can swing it their way. But for sure, I'd say it's more important here than it certainly was last week. But like I say, a lot of things can still happen, and although overtaking is difficult, it's not impossible.
That is definitely true, and ERS management could prove crucial as well, as you definitely need it on that straight, which is not all too long to actually get past. But as far as I'm aware, you were commentating yesterday already for PSGL in Hungary, and any information you can give us today, which we could watch out for?
One thing I found quite surprising is that nearly everyone wanted to make sure they qualified on softs, which is a little bit different to what I was maybe expecting. I thought we'd see a few more drivers go on hard tyres, maybe mediums, but yeah, it was mainly soft tyres used in quali. In terms of overtaking, most of what I saw was done in the first sector of a lap, through turn 1 and then up to turns 2 and 3. That was where I saw most of the side-by-side action. There was a bit through the fast turn 5 as well, but you'd have to be a brave one to be side-by-side through there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we can all more or less remember the epic battle Danik Wert and Alexander Albon had here in 2019 when they went side by side nearly through the entire first sector, which was great to see. It is possible to race side by side, but like you've mentioned, you need a lot of bravery to actually make it stick. And time penalties once again on this track could play a factor, with turn 5 being the main spot where you could pick up one or two warnings here and there. But also this corner here, the nearly flat out right-hander, the last corner in the second sector, also really easy to track extend. And we had Gavin Tatero already on his first flying lap invalidating, but here we've got Rataka, last week's winner, coming around the final corner to set the benchmark for this quali session for now. Oh, it's actually Hype Scholze who sets the first lap, but he gets beaten immediately by the Red Bull. Let's see, maybe Joda can play a different role in that. No, he goes third fastest for the moment. Puma qualifies on mediums for now. Fairhan Racer only half a tenth behind his teammate. It was very close in between them last week. And yeah, in that Red Bull car, Austrian car, a German driver and a Swiss driver. So yeah, all in familiar regions.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just thinking in terms of the fastest lap times at the moment. In terms of a pole lap that we had in F7 yesterday, it was a 1:13.7, so I'd expect F5 to get into the mid-13s by the end of qualifying, so that's not too far off the ultimate pace, I shouldn't imagine. Probably maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 attempts to find.
Yeah, definitely a very solid banker from him there so far. As Ajende comes across the line, he is also on mediums. Only two people right now on the medium compound out on track, which are Legende and Puma. Obviously last week's winner on track, but on penalties he dropped down to fourth place. Also worth to mention that this guy right here, Fairhan, got demoted to third place on Stewart's findings after he got second on track, but the stewards deemed it illegal the way he pushed Björn onto the grass on the run up to the line out of the final corner, and he didn't get a proper penalty. He just got his place taken away, and Björn got promoted up to second place. So a good start for him. Right now sitting in P3, not too bad, and Yeah, I think pole time yesterday in F5, in F6, sorry, was around a low 13, I think, 13.4, 13.3, something around there. Not too sure, but should be around there. So I guess we'll see something similar today from those F5 drivers, as the grids seem to be actually pretty close, concerning those are different divisions.
Yeah, one thing I noticed yesterday commentating as well was that drivers that did well in Austria struggled a little more around here. Obviously, it's a very different circuit to Austria. And with how close all the fields are, I think we could see a few different drivers up near the front here this week because it does require a very different sort of driving style to Austria, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, you could barely have more of a difference in between the first two races in terms of yeah, the nature of the track. Like we already mentioned, Austria, more of a tactical track where you really have to manage your ERS, manage the slipstream, need to stay in behind maybe for a bit longer than you would actually want to. But here, track position is absolutely crucial, as it's really difficult to stay close enough in the second sector to then make an overtake work on the main straight. And this week, after his horrible start to season, as Lewis goes into the wall, he clips the grass on the outside of turn 2, which could prove a very tricky corner today. He clips the grass on the outside and hits the wall. Lucky for him not to have his qualifying over here. So mistakes are being made already. But yeah, a completely different track, like you said, and track position absolutely crucial. And like you already mentioned as well, a safety car could really play a big factor today. Once again, maybe even for the medium runners who will start on the mediums. Maybe if they qualify outside the top 10, you would ideally want to start on the medium to go a bit longer into the race, or maybe even the hards to then have a medium run towards the end. If that safety car just comes out at the perfect time, then you might go up the order quite a lot with that. But yeah, racing is sadly not all about skill. It's also about a bit of luck. That's how it is in real life as well. That's how it is with most sports, actually. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that.
There's a fantastic lap just come in there from Matt T-Boss. Has gone quickest on a 1:13.6. He was purple through both of the first two sectors, green in the last sector, and enough to take provisional pole by just over a tenth of a second. And I'm right in saying as well in F5 it's just a line assist that is allowed, so if I'm right in saying that, it means all other assists are off, so we probably are going to see quite a few moments, certainly on traction, out of some of these corners.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if that's the thing for everyone, but I find it really difficult in terms of rear tire grip around here. It's really easy to lose the back end in some of these corners, actually. Like we see from Joshua here coming through. Yeah, by the way, sorry if I didn't tell you, Joda, I call him Joshua due to the fact that I know him in real life, so I just going to call him Joshua for now. And as he went through turn 5, he lost the rear end. And the curbs might prove a bit tricky as well. If you just mount them a little bit too much, your rear end could step out quite a lot, which could unsettle the car and maybe result in some overheating. But we'll have to wait and see for that, as Joshua locks up coming into the last sector, which is the slowest part on the track, I'd say, with a lot of 180-degree corners.
It's been a good lap from Josh. He's done a purple middle sector, so he could be about to go fastest of all. He does indeed, a 1:13.4. That's a great effort from him. Goes on to provisional pole.
Yeah.
And, yeah, great effort.
Fantastic stuff from the man who sadly didn't even finish inside the point, as he got damaged very early on in the race. And his teammate Nino, who's sadly not here today, had an issue where his ERS was stuck in overtake mode, which is basically already ruining your entire race, because we all know how crucial the battery charge is. And if you always are on around 10 to 20%, and the grip is not great on overtake around the slow speed corners on the traction either, so yeah, it could be very difficult then. So his race was basically ruined from the start. I've actually never heard of that glitch before, but he had it sadly, as Björn went second fastest for now. He should be a man to be up front here today as well, and I know that Joshua really enjoys this track. He's usually quite handy around here. and he's proven that so far in this quality session. I mean, P1, provisional pole for now with 7 minutes remaining, and yeah, we could see him quite far up the grid today.
Absolutely. We've got Gavin now, who's done a purple in the middle sector and is massively improving on his current 11th place. He's just going through the last couple of corners. That car ahead of him is going to the pit, so there won't be any traffic there. And this should see him put in at least in the first 3 rows of a grid, I reckon. It's good enough for fourth, and a 1:13.8 is just good enough for the first couple of rows.
Yeah, good lap so far. I guess we'll see at least one more lap from him, as I think Joshua has planned before the race. He's told me he wanted to go for actually 4 timed laps, which is possible. Could be tight with timing, but it definitely is possible. As we can see, we are on board with Vean Racer. On the bottom left, sadly it says fastest lap Rataka at the moment. Just still a bit of a glitch, but he definitely isn't. He's dropped down to 6th in the meantime. But here comes Verhan across the line. Where does he go? He goes second fastest for now. Puts his Red Bull on the front row at the moment.
Good lap there from the Red Bull driver. And yeah, I think we are seeing a few different drivers up towards the top, like we mentioned before, with a different track layout we've got here. It does give opportunity for drivers that maybe didn't enjoy Austria quite as much to shine here. But a bit like Austria, we will see a lot of penalties in a race. It is easy to track extend around here. But the one thing for me that I've noticed around this track, the one thing you have to avoid is that turn 6 inside curb. So a few drivers hit it in F7 and I wouldn't even call it a curb, it's just ice. If you hit it, you're spinning.
And it's quite disguised as well. It's not even like, it's not painted as a curb, it's just grey. So very tricky, as Simics actually has a purple first sector. Don't know if we should actually trust this, but the amount of ERS isn't concerning for him at the moment. Only 25. You would want to have a lot more than that as he track extends. And on this game is so cruel with track limits. He just slightly went wide there and invalidates. As we've got Maurice in the chat. We said, what a nice time to be alive. A caught Rockstar and a losing Joshua. And my favorite commentator, Jake, as a Simic spins round. So Jake, it looks like you've got a bit of a fan in the chat.
Well, it's your friend who we commentated on yesterday, of course. So yeah, happy to be here again, and it's not the most, I wouldn't say it's the most thrilling track sometimes in terms of overtaking, but I saw yesterday certainly that strategy made the race very interesting. In fact, the top 2 in F7 were drivers that started outside the top 10. So I think that tells you just what carnage safety cars caused.
Yeah, safety car can always cause some chaotic races, which you wouldn't expect really at a track like this, to be honest. Like you've mentioned, not the most exciting one in terms of actual racing on track, but we can see while we're riding on board, or we are live with Miku right now, he is very much struggling for grip as he went through turn 5. It was horrible. I mean, you have to mount that curb on the inside to get a perfect run through there. But that curb can really unsettle your car. And yeah, I know Maurice in the chat actually put his car in the wall on his first flying lap in quali on Thursday, as he's racing in F10. As Miko looks like he didn't improve. At least he stays 13.
He improved in time, but yeah, he didn't improve in position. Puma's gone up to 3rd, and F1 Legend's gone up to 4th. But again, still no one can beat that time set by Joshua, and it was quite a while ago now, so you'd figure the track may have ramped up a bit since then.
Yeah, good job by Joshua so far, definitely. And APG TTP Cords, I'm just going to call him Cortez. Cortez? Cords? Don't know, Cortez. Let's say Cortez.
Cortez, yeah, I'd say Cortez.
Yeah, Cortez goes 7th fastest for now, and I've only just realised I think I called F1 legend Legende earlier on. That's not his name.
I think that's another driver.
Yeah, Legende's a different driver. He's racing in F6, so I apologise for that one. But hopefully that won't have upset him all too much. But yeah,
I'll guess I don't want to offend him either with this, but I'm guessing he's a Lewis Hamilton fan with a number that follows the F1 legend.
yeah, could be, most likely if he is racing on the F1 games. Like that would make sense at least. And yeah, we can see Puma's diving into the pits, preparing himself for his final run. Björn, very early out on track. I mean, we've got 3 minutes left, so he wants to have enough margin, enough of a gap in terms of timing to be easily able to set his lap. In case he invalidates, maybe that's a smart thing to do. But currently, we still have Joshua on pole, and I don't think many people would have expected that. And it's also not too close, if I'm honest. I mean, around 1.3 tenths. That's not the smallest of gaps. It's not huge, but it is a really good lap. But considering how close the field is in general, I mean, look at that. In between P1 and P9, not even 4 tenths, and that's what you just love to see, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we might have another one joining that cluster of cars very shortly because Lewis has done a very good second sector. He's yet to put in a lap, so I mean anything should be an improvement as long as he doesn't mess up his final turn. Goes round the final corner. This is going to be very near the front. In fact,
Ooh.
it's wow, it's a bit more than very near the front. It's right at the front, a 1:13.1, just about.
A really, really good lap, and currently in provisional pole, as those other guys are coming out onto the track now to prepare themselves for the last runs. As Lewis lets them go through.
Oh,
And
Bjorn's crashed out.
Yeah, Bjorn has retired, so he won't be a contender for pole, and that's out of turn 1.
Yeah, he's in the wall. His wheel's gone. I sort of saw him going off there, but I didn't see actually what caused it. I wonder if maybe he got held up with someone coming out of the pits.
Could be. Maybe he also went too heavily over the curb on the outside, because that can send you spinning as well. Like we said, traction is not that easy on this track.
Either way, that's the end of his qualifying, and 6 will be the absolute best place he's going to start from. And I suspect he'll probably drop a few places in the next minute or so.
Yeah, Gavin.
In fact, he's already dropped down 1. Gavin, who's gone second.
Gavin with a great lap there. That's P2 for now, front row. I guess that's going to be difficult to hold though, as Fairhan is already on his final run. Let's go on board with him as he comes towards that incredibly quick left-hander of turn 5. He doesn't invalidate. Nearly a perfect run through there. And now towards this slow chicane here, he stays in third gear to keep his traction up. Now into the tricky left-right part of this track here in the second sector, as that looks pretty tidy so far. Let's see how the delta is on his time so far. He maybe gets a bit confused by the others. He goes 0.2 of a second quicker than on his previous best lap. As he locks up, that might have cost him just that little bit of time as he comes through the penultimate corner. Could he challenge for pole here? Lewis and Gavin have retired, so they won't be able to reply to any of those times that will be put in just a little bit time. And there goes Fairhan. It's only second. Fairhan definitely not on pole. It's a solid lap from him, but I guess he won't be happy with that, and we still got quite a few lads to still set a lap. Josh is invalidated.
Won't be improving is Josh. Yeah, I think saw him make a slight mistake out of, I think it was turn 3, so that's his qualifying over. He won't be improving. Puma is on a lap, but he's not doing personal best, so it's difficult to see where the improvements are coming from, to be honest, at the moment.
Yeah, Puma has to definitely push as hard as he can now to improve through this last sector. He could be the one challenging for pole position now as he comes across the line. What is it going to be? It's not even an improvement. What can Matt do? Matt can't do anything. He's in non-ERS mode. He's decided to abort his lap. Yes, I'm sorry for that.
Oh, just God. Cortez then. So come across the line. He was 11th. He stays 11th. He doesn't improve.
So Björn only loses 1 spot. That's not too bad.
No, I think he'd have taken that when he crashed out to have only dropped down to 7th.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess one Racing Point is going to be really disappointed with this one. Yeah, the potential for pole. He was only 0.2 off, not even with his final run. Or was it 0.3 in the end? 0.2. 0.2 of a second But look at the gap in between P1 and 2. That is so close. But you'll have your grid for the upcoming race. Lewis will start on pole, which probably wasn't too expected. Then we've got Fairhun in P2. Gavin in P3. Great performance from him. Joshua in P4. Puma gets P5 for the grid. Then we've got F1 Legend in P6. Björn only manages P7 after his retirement on his final run. Then we've got Matt in P8. Then we've got El Grande. Thought that was an I for some reason. El Grande in P9 and Hida in P10. And I'll run through the rest of the grid as soon as we are going for the formation app. But gotta say, Rataka won't be happy with that performance. He'll be starting outside the top 10. Maybe it could help him in terms of strategy, but still, he won last week, and to start outside the top 10 then next week, it's just not really what you want, is it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, from F7, the two guys that ended up first and second by the end did start on mediums outside the top 10, so I think because he is starting outside the top 10, the mediums is probably the strategy worth going for. But again, we mentioned this before, like the difference in the track layout has really thrown up a very different grid to what we might have expected.
Yeah, definitely. But I can see Matt in the chat said he invalidated a .2 in the chicane. And he's furious with that. I can understand that. That would have brought him up to pole position for this race, I think. So very unfortunate for him, but you just have to nail your lap. It's not too difficult to get a sector perfectly nailed around here, but it's difficult to put all those sectors together into one single lap, as I still have the fastest lap on the bottom left from Rataka, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that lap was literally set right at the start of qualifying. It hasn't disappeared since.
Yeah, good job, Cody's. But it should disappear, hopefully. But I'm going to run through the rest of the grid. As we can see, the predicted pit stop strategy, we got a 2-stop, which is unlikely to happen only if there's a safety car. But the main strategy was the 1-stop from medium to hard. You can still do soft to hard. It's still possible. But Cortez will stop P11 in front of Rataka, Schulze, Miku, Geo and Simics, and I can see only one driver outside the top 10 decided to start on the soft compound, which is Schulze, and all the others except for Miku will be starting on hard, are going for the mediums. Do you reckon that's a good strategy from Miku there? Maybe go for a bit of a gamble, maybe gamble on a safety car midway through the race?
Not too sure. I mean, the only driver that did it in F7 was AMS, and it actually worked out pretty well for him in the end. He scored good points, but he didn't look all that comfortable in qualifying Miku. He looks like he was struggling with the car a bit, so maybe his strategy is just to try and stay away from whatever chaos might unfold and maybe just try and pick up a few points, because it didn't look like he had the raw speed to get near the front, so maybe he just thinks he's got nothing to lose and he's gone for a very different strategy. We shall see though.
Definitely an interesting call, as Cano Light Racer in the chat says that he predicts that someone outside the top 10 will win this race, and asks us for our predictions for the race win. I'm actually gonna go for Fairhun, who seemed fairly consistent last race, finished P2 on P2 on track, yes, got demoted to P3 in terms of time penalties. But I think he's going to be the man on the top step at the end of this race. Who are you going to go for?
I opt out of picking a winner now because I seem to curse it, and I don't want to curse anybody tonight.
That's a fair point, as I'm just waiting for a good camera angle, and the lights are coming on now. We're up to 5 red lights. And we are underway in Hungary. It seems to be a good start from second place. Fairhun has already moved up into the lead. The Mercedes hasn't had a great start so far, as they go 3 wide, coming down towards turn 1 as the Williams dives it down the inside, gets P2. Good start from Gavin. Lewis drops down. Lewis down to 3rd place, as I can see ghosting right there. Lewis even drops down to 4th place. Joshua has had an awful start as well, as it looks like the AlphaTauri there is fighting for P3 at the moment. Björn has to concede the place, it looks like, though, as I can see lag all over the place right now. But it looks like Björn has to concede that place once again. Yes, he has to. Puma gets P5 for the moment. Joshua drops down to 6th. Not a good start at all for him and Lewis.
Absolutely not, no. Fairhun Racer absolutely hooked it off for start. Lewis looked to be having a few lag issues, but it seems to have settled down now, thankfully. But it's been a pretty good start. Bjorn, I
Oh,
think,
and there's been a huge crash in the background. Sorry to cut you off there, but that was F1 legend who spun on the outside of the curb, slammed onto the racetrack, and we've got another car. That's our last week's winner. That's Rataka spinning round at the end of the second sector, and huge chaos on lap 1 here in the middle sector after F1 legend has spun round and crashed into the wall. And just worth to mention is that Björn has had a great start, moved up 3 positions.
Yeah, and Hidder's also in the pits as well. He damaged. I wonder if he got collected in that crash for F1 legend. That's a real shame for him, though. That's not the start you want. But I'd say Bjorn's had an absolute blinder off the start, gained 3 places straight away, so he's put that qualifying crash firmly behind him.
Yeah, it seems like he's got good pace so far in this race. But he is coming up under a bit of pressure from Puma behind. So we've got another yellow flag, and that's Simics. That's the AlphaTauri of Simics out of turn 2. Yeah, that is turn 2. Into turn 3, spins round, has to let Rataka go. It seems like Rataka has gone through there without front wing damage, but an awful start for last week's race winner. And already a lot of chaos. But on the start, it seems like Lewis just couldn't get off the line.
No, and absolutely not. It's not the start you want. He really bogged down, and now he's got some overtaking to do if he wants to get back into the pole position. He looks very threatening behind Gavin, though, I have to say. He's pretty much glued to the back end of that Williams. So when DRS does come into effect, he might have an opportunity to get second place back. But the important thing for Gavin is he has to stay in the DRS of that Red Bull.
Absolutely, the DRS here is crucial to even be able to overtake this. Björn sets the fastest lap of the race. So far we saw the predicted pit stop strategy for the soft runners. Either soft, medium, which
Josh is going for a move. Sorry to cut you off there. Josh went for a move down the inside of Puma, and it just kind of got squeezed out in the end, and I think he backed off before there was contact.
Oh, there goes
Matt.
Matt,
Now he might lose a place. Yeah, he might lose a place. He was a little bit caught out there. And Matt's...
Ooh, that's close. But fair play to those guys. They kept it clean and no one spun round. That usually doesn't go well through turn 3 there. But yeah, Joshua, we had that yesterday while we were commentating. While you're trying to overtake, if you can't make it stick, it's very easy to then lose a place when you can't make the overtake work.
Yeah, maybe a slight bit of impatience there from Josh. He might have been better off waiting until the DRS was in operation, because it was a little bit of an optimistic one, and like you say, that just killed his momentum and allowed Matt to put a cheeky one at the inside and get P6.
Yeah, we are still 5 laps away from the first pit stop, so you reckon you could maybe pit lap 6, 7 around there to maybe make an undercut? Do you think the Hearts can last that long without losing too much performance?
Well, I saw some very weird things happen in F7. There were some people pitting...
Oh, sorry to cut you off there as Matt goes down the inside of Puma, and he makes it look very easy, and he does what Joshua couldn't do and pass the McLaren, and up to P5 he goes. Sorry to cut you off. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, we saw some people pit on lap 4 on soft tyres, so it was some incredibly early stops. But yeah, going back to that Matt overtake there, he did wait for the DRS to become in operation. That gave him that little bit of extra speed, so that it was more of a sealing the move rather than going for it.
Yeah, it looked fairly easy, to be fair, but we can see Lewis is not too far away from Gavin, and it looks like Farron is not really able to pull away. But now the dirty air in the second sector comes into play. Like I said, it's so difficult to actually stay with someone in front if you have got similar pace. That dirty air just ruins your run, and Joshua already picking up his first penalty. That won't help him at all.
Absolutely not. You really want to avoid picking up penalties this early, because it can quickly become into a rip. And Lewis is pitting.
Oh,
so
very early.
Yeah, a bit like I saw in F7 yesterday. Cars pitting as early as lap 4, so they're really not liking the durability of those soft tyres.
Softs seem to go down fairly quickly, it looks like. Do you reckon he can make it till the end without a safety car, without losing too much performance to the end, or is that more of a gamble for a safety car at some stage in this race?
I think if there's no safety car, I think he's pretty much on a 2-stopper now, especially on mediums. He's not even gone for hards. So, yeah, I can't see him unless there's a safety car. I think he's relying on there being one. But he might also be looking for the undercut, because I wonder if that Red Bull's just holding Gavin and Bjorn up a little bit.
Well, the two-stop can definitely work, especially now with the undercut. I guess these mediums will be performing immediately. Crucially, he's coming in front of the AlphaTauri, so it doesn't make he doesn't have to make an actual overtake now while he's trying to push. So the undercut could definitely work for him now. And if he gets up to the lead because of his undercut now, he could try and pull a gap. And then maybe he's not too far away and could do something like Lewis Hamilton did back in 2019 when he pitted as he was right behind Max Verstappen. So Verstappen's tyres dropped down massively and then Hamilton got past and Puma's pitting as well.
Yeah, very early stops, and like I say, it's absolutely crucial that Lewis got out in clear air.
Oh, sorry to cut you off there, but there goes Gavin into turn one. He goes into the lead. Fairhan still on the outside. Who gets the traction down earlier and better? It looks like Fairhan has got the inside line for turn two. That might help him. That probably will help him as he looks up, but he retains the lead. And look at Gavin, and he's smashed into the wall.
Oh, perhaps a bit over-ego on the throttle in his desperate bid to get the lead, and I think he's got some front wing damage there, and that's really going to affect his race. He's got pretty much the whole of the middle sector to go through with a broken front wing, and this is not a track you really want to have damage around.
Absolutely not. That will cost him dearly, and he's going to drop down quite a lot of position, I imagine. And yeah, that's not really going to help his race. He will basically have to hope for a safety car at some stage. As he goes wide, probably picks up a warning for that. And interestingly enough, Puma was pitted on the previous lap, on lap 5. He's gone onto hards.
Now that could be a one-stopper. It's going to be a tough ask.
Oh, Simics!
Oh, Simics is out.
He's crashed in the middle sector. Could that cause a safety car, maybe? As Matt picks up a time penalty. Many people in the pits.
But they're anticipating a safety car, aren't they?
Probably. Gavin also in the pits.
Two Ferraris side by side. I think that's hyped Scholes down the inside of El Grande. And they've managed to get through there without contact, and that's hyped Scholes up to what is third at the moment, but I think that's just provisional for the time being. But still a good move from him, especially as he started well outside the top 10.
Yeah, very, very good move. And look at the gap Lewis has pulled just within those 2 tiny laps on the mediums. He's pulled out such a gap already, and he's now got a gap of around 3.7 seconds to the previous leader, Fairhan. And this strategy could actually work out for him. He could maybe pull out that gap and, like I said, then be able to catch back up as a Puma picks up a penalty.
Well, even more crucial as well for Lewis, he got past Rataka very quickly. So he's now got 6 seconds of clear air in which to push. So he's looking very strong at the moment, and even with the additional stop, he's looking pretty ominous to beat here.
Yeah, he is looking like he's wanting to go for that win as the first Ferrari of Scholz goes into the pits. Or Scholz, I'm not sure which country he's from, otherwise I could maybe pronounce it a bit better, I'd say. Matt dives into the pit, and it looks very close for P3 on track at the moment. As look at Cortez. Cortez is really close to the Ferrari of El Grande. But keep in mind, Cortez is on the medium compound as he goes for a late move down the inside into turn 2. Does this go well? Through turn 3, they'll go side by side as Cortez gives up that spot for now. He's on the slow compound, but it seems like the softs are just not really working anymore.
I can't help feeling that Ferrari overtake that Scholes did was crucial into him getting the first stop. Something's telling me El Grande would have wanted to pit then, but he couldn't because he would have had to stack. He looks like he's really struggling on the tyres, and Cortez looks like he's going to be just all over him. Wants to get past him at every corner almost.
That must be very frustrating for the Mercedes driver right now, and we all know how difficult it is to pass somewhere around here. Basically, the only chance is turn 1 or turn 2, like we've discussed. Or if you just have a lot of bravery, maybe it's turn 4. Oh, look at that! People locking up left, right, and centre, nearly going into each other. As now the DRS from that Ferrari ahead will help Cortez to stay in front of Gio for now. On this lap, Gio probably won't be able to get past as Joshua and El Grande pit. And Joshua, where will he come out now, I wonder? Puts on fresh hards, so he'll go till the end of this race. Where does he come out in comparison to Matt? He will be quite far behind, it looks like, and even behind the Ferrari of Schulze. Oh, close call though in between them, and Gavin is behind on the medium tyre, and Schulze also in front. He's on the mediums. Worth to mention it. That's a huge crash, and Joshua gets hit from behind, has to go off the track, and I think that was completely Gavin's fault.
That's just a bit of impatience again from Gavin. He's like he's trying to win the race in the opening stint of the race. I don't really... It was like he was looking for a gap that was never going to be there, I'm afraid. And sometimes you just got to be a bit more patient than that. You know, you don't have to get the move done straight away. But it's a couple of times now where he's just tried to get the move done too quickly and it's cost him.
Yeah, that reminded me of Bottas and Vettel colliding in was that 2019? I think that was. Or 2018? Not too sure. 2018, I think. Was it?
Not too sure myself, actually, now you've mentioned it.
I think it was 2018. Where Ferrari was actually still competitive. But that's a different story. And yeah, I'm not sure if Joshua moved over a bit late. It didn't look like it on my screen, but I could be wrong. But from my first, from first sight, it looks like it was Gavin just being a bit impatient, like you said.
Yeah, just to me, Josh didn't really like. He moved over. That's a big dive down the inside from El Grande on Josh. I don't think he's made it stick though, but that was a really late move. He really went for it. He's going for it again down the inside.
Ooh! Contact once again. It seems like a lot of impatience from those drivers, and gotta say, Joshua gave him the room, but it looks like El Grande just braked a bit too late, and that contact was inevitable.
It's a 35 lap race, guys. You don't need to win it in one lap.
Definitely. I mean, racing is not all about speed. Racing is about consistency as well, and yeah, having the right timing in terms of overtaking. But I guess if Joshua just goes on like this, he could finish in a pretty good position so far as Lewis picks up a penalty, which could prove crucial, as currently he's got a 4.5 second gap to Fairhunt, but he needs to extend it quite a lot more to make that two-stop work, I guess.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting from Lewis's point of view. Like, there's a few other drivers that have gone for the medium tyres as well, but he's by far and away in the best position of a lot of them. So I think for me, it's looking like as long as there's no safety cars, it's between Lewis and the hard tyre runners for the win here. I don't see any of the other medium tyre runners being in contention. Lewis has really made that strategy work so far.
Yeah, Lewis is doing a solid job by now. And what do you reckon? Around which laps will he dive into the pit lane to make his second stop?
It depends. If he can lengthen out this second stint, he may opt to go for soft tyres again at the end. But we saw how long they last, so he might just go for another set of mediums. I mean, he pitted on lap 4, so I guess logically speaking, around lap 20, I would probably expect to see him in lap 20, 21.
Could be, but what you've mentioned is actually an interesting point. He could try and go for softs, but like you said, we saw they don't really last that long. They don't really perform over such a great distance, so it could be interesting. And once again,
Gavin's out.
Yeah, Gavin with another crash, and it's a safety car. It is a safety car, so Schulze could go into the pits. He does. It looks like Puma is diving into the pits, so interesting strategy call for him. I wonder if he'll go for mediums now, and that is perfect for P1 and P2. Look at them, they are still out on the mediums, and they could pit now.
I think, just having a look here, yeah, I think they've gone past the safety car as well.
Yeah, they have.
So that's even better for them. So they're in a really good position here. They can just make their pit stop now and go to the end. I mean, I'm not sure about Miku. I mean, he could go. Could he take mediums to the end from there?
I'm not sure. They will be dead at the end. I guess the optimum distance you should take the mediums is like around 15 to 20 laps, maybe. So yeah, but we have to keep in mind it's very, very difficult to overtake. So if he could make that medium tire last till the end, he might be able to go for it. But what he could also, in theory, do is the Sauber strategy. You know, pitting, fitting a different tire compound, and then pitting again on the next lap. Obviously, you won't lose too much, time to the leaders as the safety car's out and you're not allowed to overtake, and you will definitely catch up. But no, Miku stays out. I remember that Sauber did it quite often in 2017 under a safety car, just pitting, fitting a different tyre, and then pitting once again on the next lap just to have two different tyre compounds. And so does Lewis. Lewis pits. That is.
So he'll be going on to hard then, surely.
Yeah, not a bad strategy for Lewis, but he has to double stack. Obviously, it takes a lot longer than what he'd hoped for. But where will he come out? Will he be in front of Joshua? That's the crucial point. Joshua's not pitting. His pit crew was ready though, so maybe tricked his team a little bit. He will come out behind Joshua. Will he come out in front of El Grande? It's going to be close with him, but it looks like, yes, Lewis is just in front of the Ferrari. And I think now everyone inside the top 10, except from maybe Puma and maybe Miku, could go to the end.
I think in terms of racing point, it would have been for Gio's stop. So I don't think Joshua's done anything there. But Gio and Cortez are in fantastic positions now. They're on brand new hard tyres. They can go to the end. And although some of the cars ahead of them might also be able to go to the end, they'll have fresher tyres on those in front of them. So they're in a really strong position now. A safety car has really made their race.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this. Racing is not all about skill, not all about how quick you are. It's about consistency as well, making the right moves at the right time, and also luck. You need luck basically everywhere in life. And same with motorsport, especially Formula 1 with safety cars. And obviously today the luck was with Cortez and Gio, who didn't seem to have the best pace on the grid so far, but they have got a good strategy now.
And that's what we mentioned earlier about patience as well. Like Gavin, I'm afraid, ruined his race, and he could have been right up there now with a safety car. Sometimes, it's best to just wait to see how things pan out. I'm not saying don't overtake, but don't try moves that are just not going to work out. I mean, that move on Josh, I just don't see where he was going to go. Yeah. He'd have been better off to stay behind for a lap and then go for a much safer move.
Yeah, patience. Oh, I can see front wing parts flying, and that's Björn. Björn has lost a huge chunk of his front wing. Ferhan picks a 5-second penalty. That will probably be removed if he didn't brake check Björn. But Björn is basically out of this race, out of this contention for victory. So that will promote basically everyone in this race now, as he's third. And Ferhan is now having the Haas of Matt as his main competitor for this race win. And I've just realised that Puma, he's actually on mediums. He was on hards. He could have gone to the end with that safety car, but he decided to pit onto mediums. Interesting.
Going for a long stint. I mean, the more of his safety car stays out, the easier it'll be for him, and of course can't rule out the prospect of another one. So he's got a chance still, but he's not got track position, so I expect to see him do some overtaking, because those hard tyres might take a little while to get up to temperature on the restart.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That is a really good point. We need to watch out for the safety car reset, as tyres will be probably less than in an optimal temperature window. So we could see some drivers struggling on traction then. But safety car will probably come in now. Yes, it will, and that's awful for Björn. He will drop down to dead last eventually, and yeah, that probably have ruined his entire race.
He'll be hoping for another safety car to try and save his race, but yeah, that's definitely put him in a bad place. And Ferhan's job now, he'll want to get past Miku as quickly as possible. That's what he needs to do right now, and Bjorn's trying desperately to get into the pits as quickly as possible.
Yeah, as Miku has gone, and the green flag will be out as soon as we cross the start-finish line. And look at Ferhan, he's got a huge advantage over Matt now, because there was one car in the way. And look at Cortez and Gio. Gio's trying to set up a move, and we've actually got 4 Mercedes going side by side, which is incredible to see. One Mercedes goes off, can't make the move stick. The actual Mercedes behind gets the move done, and Joshua gets demoted to 7th. And yeah, we've had 4 Mercedes cars battling with each other in teams of 2.
Yeah, and in the end, it was Lewis that got the better of Josh, and Gio got the better of Cortez. So there was a couple of changes of position very early on here, and straight away Lewis is onto the back of Cortez, and it'll be interesting to see what Mercedes do here, because based on what we've seen so far, Lewis should have a bit more pace and looks to even already have his tyres in a bit better working range.
Yeah, sadly don't know if those two are actually mates in real life as well, or if they just got a random teammate, but due to the fact that they are in the Mercedes and yeah, they probably got first car choice because of that. I guess they'll be proper teammates and they know each other as well, so yeah, maybe we could see some change of position. Joshua is a bit too far away to actually use team order right there, and there's the team order. And look at Schultz in the background. Schultz is trying to set up a move on Joshua as he's on the mediums. Down the inside he goes into turn 1. Side by side they go. Who gets the better exit? And it looks like there's a lot of lag involved there. Joshua probably saw that lag as well, and now has to defend from Puma, who's also on the mediums. Puma tries to go around the outside. Joshua does leave him the room on the outside. Now Puma's got the inside line. That's great racing, and Puma gets the spot from Joshua. Great move there.
Absolutely, yeah. Great respect between the two drivers, gave each other enough room, and Puma made it stick around the outside. A very lovely Ricciardo-esque move there, and Puma needs to make the most of those medium tyres, as does Schultz, and they're trying to make their way through the field as quickly as possible. And good to see their sensible driving there from Cortez. I think he recognised that Lewis is probably in a better position to win this race.
Yeah, I mean, you need to work together as a team, and what's best for the team. Only if you're like in a championship fight against each other, you probably not help each other. I mean, we can all remember the times in between Rosberg and Hamilton. They certainly didn't help each other for the championship or for the Constructors' Championship. And Verhan needs to find a way past Miku, maybe on the next lap when the DRS gets enabled. Because he needs to have that track position, he needs to have that clean air, and maybe we'll see a move from Schultz, who's lagging massively. That's awful to look at, as on my screen he just turned into him. But now they're going side by side towards turn 2 once again, a very popular place for overtaking as they make contact, and it's Cortez with front wing damage who comes off worse and now probably has to pit. That has not gone well for the Mercedes.
So you know, it's so difficult to battle when the car's jumping around like that, and there was definitely a lag involved in that contact there. Unfortunately for Cortez, he was in such a strong position, and he may have hoped as well to hold up Scholes for the sake of his teammate as well, but that opportunity's gone now. And like you said, Verhan needs to get this move done quickly, because if he doesn't attack Miku soon, he'll be getting attacked himself, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at Matt, he's not too far away. Only 6 tenths behind, and as soon as Miku pits, Verhan won't have any DRS or slipstream to help him defend on the straight. So it could be difficult then for him to stay in front, but it looks like he's close enough to actually make a move now on this straight as Puma gets past Cortez, as he has to pit obviously, and Verhan engages the overtake mode. Miku defends the inside line actually, but round the outside goes Verhan. Maybe he tries the switchback. Great work from him on the exit. Now he's got the DRS on the second small straight here, and into turn 2 he gets the move done, and on lap 18 we see a change of the leading driver, and it's Verhan taking the lead.
That was brilliant there from both. Miku made his defensive move, but Verhan made the up and under move work absolutely perfectly, and that's how to overtake around Hungary, and that move was absolutely crucial for him, and he can now try and set after building a gap. He'll hope that Miku can hold off Matt for a few laps at least.
Absolutely great to see drivers battling cleanly side by side, giving each other the room they need, giving each other the respect they need. And that's what we love to see, proper racing, close racing, and good overtakes. So that was the case in that situation. So a great fight in between them, and now Miku will probably help Verhan, but look at that terrain Miku's building, and Miku still doesn't pit, and now the gap is over a second, and Matt will be furious in his Haas behind the wheel there that Miku is letting Verhan get away for now. But look at Matt, he's gaining, he's going for a move down the inside into turn 1, and he gets the move done already. Or does he actually? Look at Miku, he's got a good exit, but Miku can't fight back, it looks like, with the DRS or the Haas driver, and he gets the inside line for turn 2. Only one lap after Fairhand got past, Matt also gets past, and that was crucial.
Absolutely crucial move, and he's only allowed Fairhand to build a 1 second lead, so he can go straight after the Red Bull now. And speaking of a driver that might be a little bit furious, if that graphic's right, I don't think Cortez is going to be too happy when he sees the state of the medium tyres.
Sorry to cut you off, but Schultz tried to make a move on Lewis into the slow chicane. Lewis gave him the room, but it's very difficult to overtake there.
It's not really an overtaking spot. It's very difficult to just get one of these very wide F1 cars through there, let alone two. So yeah, that was always going to be a tough ask. But yeah, I don't know if that graphic's right or not, but if so, Cortez is definitely not going to make the end on those tyres he's put on.
Oh, yeah, I hope that graphic isn't right. He only just pitted for fresh tyres, but they don't look
out of medium tyres, perhaps.
They don't look like a new set. If you go on board with him, like on the outside of the tyre, you usually have like that shiny bit if the tyre is fresh, but he doesn't have that shiny bit at all. So it could actually be an old set, a used set. That is not good.
No, his race has just completely fallen apart. He looks in a good position for certainly to get on the podium after when the safety car came out, but it's all kind of fallen away from him, unfortunately. And we've still got this massive train of cars behind Miku, who still hasn't pitted yet. I mean, he won't be too many laps away from pitting, you wouldn't think now, because the medium tyres should be able to go roughly 13-14 laps.
Should be able to make it if he would pit now, but look at Lewis. Lewis is massively getting held up by Gio, who's just picked another time penalty through turn 5, and you can see how much quicker Lewis could go, but it's so difficult to overtake because look at Gio, he's still in that DRS window of Miku, who also has got DRS and slipstream, so a double slipstream for the Renault driver, and just normal slipstream and DRS for the Renault driver, double slipstream for the Racing Point. But look at Lewis. Lewis is so close, but now he's messed up the exit a little bit, and there comes Schultz. Actually, he tries to go for a move, but Schultz goes out of overtake DRS, but he still goes for the inside and completely outbrakes himself. Luckily, he doesn't collect Gio, who reacted amazingly. Great work to avoid the contact there, but maybe he still loses the spot to Lewis now, who barges his way through into P4 he goes, or does he actually? They're going side by side through turn 3 now as he gets pushed off completely. That is not very fair from those two guys. That's quite hard in between them, but now Lewis has got a great run out of turn 5. Can he maybe find his way around the outside? No, he can't, but that was quite hard.
Love that bit of aggression there. I can't help feeling that Gio was like, right, Lewis, if you're going to do it, you're going to get a bit back. And he defended that very aggressively indeed and kept the position.
Oh no!
Lewis is into the wall! He's lost it on traction, and that's his race ruined too.
Oh my goodness, he lost it on the curb. I had the perfect camera angle to see what happened. I think he got on the AstroTurf on the outside, and that just sent his car around spinning into the wall. And basically the drivers in the top 10 are just picking up the pieces, to be honest. They're just doing their race and not making any mistakes and picking up the places and the pieces of those guys who spin round.
You can absolutely bet your money Toto Wolff will be banging his fist on the table. It's all gone wrong for Mercedes, and he won't believe what he's seeing. Mistakes from both drivers, I think, to an extent there, and well, I'm just thankful in a way that Scholes didn't take Gio with him there, because that was a heart-in-mouth moment.
Yeah, that was... I was really scared he's going to cause a huge crash there, but great reactions from Gio. I mean, he saw there is a car flying down the inside who outbraked himself, and he just opened the steering just that tiny little bit to leave the gap, and that's huge contact between Gio and Puma, who nearly put each other into the wall. That's usually not an overtaking spot, but somehow they've managed to make contact, and somehow they've managed to keep both cars on the track.
This freeway battle here looks like it may end in tears. Both drivers have already had close moments, and again, under braking, Puma nearly goes into the back of Gio. I can't see this ending well the way this is going.
This is really hectic in between those guys, and look at Schultz, who is right behind them as well. And I think he's got a bit more pace than those two guys in front. But here comes Puma once again. Now, one lap later into turn one, he goes down the inside. Lock up on the inside front. Can Gio fight back with the slips, with the switchback? No, he can't. But let's see if Schultz is actually able to get past the Racing Point as well as Puma breaks himself. Gio breaks himself. Still side by side. No, they're not. And Schultz gets the move done. A lot of commitment in that one, and very clean one.
See that so often around here over the last couple of days. I've seen drivers lose one place and they're always so vulnerable to losing another, and it's happened again to Gio. He lost momentum out of turn one, and Schultz used that to his advantage and slipped down the inside, and it's looking pretty good for Schultz and Puma at the moment. But of course they're either going to have to pit, hope for a safety car, or really nurse those tyres towards the end. So Gio might take the pain now, but he may come back at them later on.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing worth mentioning, but let's look at Miku, who's still out on 22 lap hards. He started on those, so he still has to make a pit stop, his mandatory pit stop. So everyone behind him will gain a spot in case there's no safety car. And right now, basically, Puma and Schultz are fighting for a podium here if they don't have too many pens, as Schultz is pretending to go down the inside. Late movement there by both drivers, and I think Puma just moved a bit too late. Or what do you think?
He looks like he moved in the braking zone a bit to me there. That was a bit reminded me very much of Romain Grosjean at Silverstone. I think it was a little bit too late.
Oh no!
They got away with it. Oh no, they've collided and Puma is out the race. No, that's a disaster.
I think they've glued to each other, and there's the safety car Miku needed. There it is. And Miku...
That's an absolute dream for Miku.
Miku relied on that, and it worked. I think what happened between Schultz and Puma is they basically glued to each other, which is very common on the F1 games. If you make contact, it's basically impossible to get away from each other. Basically, you're just glued, and you're going to hit the wall at some point. And Puma's out of this race. It looked very aggressive from both of them, and like you said, it looked like a bit of a Roman Grosjean. Very late movement there. Already Schultz nearly spinning round, and now Puma's crashed and is out of this race. Don't know if Schultz has actually got full wing damage. It doesn't even look like he's got full wing damage. Seems like it's fine.
Fairhand pits, and I
Matt
guess
stays
Matt
out.
will as well. Matt stays out, no, so Matt will stay out.
He goes for the track
Gio
position.
Pits. I'm surprised Gio's pitted because his hard tires aren't even
Josh
that
was
old.
pitted. Schultz stayed out. Schultz has made a late call. I think he tried to come into the pits, but thought differently in the last moment, and he's on mediums. Is he actually able to make it till the end?
That's going to be a tough ask. You'll have some good laps here under a safety car to try and preserve them, but he's going for track position maybe. I mean...
Well, Joshua's going for softs, and so is Grande.
Absolutely shocked he's avoided damage in the first place, to be honest. It's quite incredible, really, that they survived the dramatic moment, and then a few corners later went off quite innocuously. I'm not going to try and say that word again. And through this all, we're not really... Oh, Ritaka's gone into the back of Schultz!
What is going
under
on?
the safety car! I just caught on board with Ritaka there. He just went straight into the back of Schultz under the safety car. That's completely bizarre.
What was that? That looked like it was almost on purpose. I don't want to claim he did it on purpose, because I'm sure he didn't. But it looked very odd. He just went into him. He literally just went into him.
I mean, I won't try and find an excuse for him, but the only thing I would say is that Schultz does seem to be having a few lag issues during this race. Maybe it's that, but yeah, that did look quite bizarre. I mean, Ritaka was going at quite some speed when he went into the back of him. Well, very surprising there. And I was about to say Ritaka's in a good position after really having an anonymous race, but he's got to have damage now, surely.
I don't even think he has. No, his front wing is completely fine. He still dives into the pits. No, he doesn't.
No. Are you allowed to do that?
I'm not sure. I mean, he crossed the white line with 2 tyres. And I think that's a bit like on the limit. Lewis pits once again. Okay, interesting. Joshua, by the way, pitted as well, had to double stack. That's why he dropped down to 9th. But he is on softs, which is a gamble because we saw how the softs drop off. But I think Matt made a really good strategy call by staying out, going for that track position. And we saw Rattica is just not on the pace today. So I guess Matt is in a beautiful position right now to win this race. As we all know, overtaking is so difficult on this track. And if Rattica just holds up these guys behind him for long enough, maybe Matt can pull a gap and make it maybe pretty much impossible for Fairhan to catch back up and overtake him.
Fairhand's going to have to get past a lagging Schulz as well, which isn't going to be straightforward. It must be a nightmare trying to drive behind that car under a safety car. I can't help feeling that lag may have had something to do with that, because it didn't even come up. You'd think after a hefty collision like that you'd see a penalty pop up, and I don't think it did. So very, very odd there. But yeah, Miku's a real beneficiary from that safety car. He's up in 5th place on fresh mediums. And Matt's hope, I'm guessing, is that there's just more carnage behind him and he can just get away with it and race off into the lead.
Well, Miku took the gamble and it worked, to be fair. But look at Schultz. Yeah, I think that might be down to lag. As you said, look at that. He's lagging massively. Safety car in this lap. So we'll have to prepare for the restart. And Matt has everything in his control now for this restart. He can decide when to go. He is not allowed to accelerate and then stop again. When you're going, you have to go. You can't stop after that once again. And I think he's gone already. No, he hasn't.
Yeah, I was staying on board with Oh,
that might be a bit dodgy. Now he's gone. Was that alright? I'm not sure.
Did he go too early?
Gio.
And
What happened to Gio?
Oh,
Gio dropped down. Gio's last. And Björn picks up a pen. And everything is going down. The two Mercedes are going side by side. Cortez is...
Schulz down the inside of Attacker into turn 1. Schulz up to 2nd.
So Schulz has made a good restart. But remember, he's on 40 lap up mediums. So it won't be easy for him to go to the end.
And there's a few drivers out there on soft tyres as well. So I'm interested to see if they can last the duration as I thought the Red Bulls. I think the Red Bulls might have just swapped places there.
Yep.
Fairhand's got past Attacker. I think that was orchestrated somewhat.
I think Rattica knew that he didn't have the pace for the race win, so he tried to maybe hold up Schultz to help his teammate out. It didn't work to hold up Schultz, but Fairhand didn't lose any time. But maybe Rattica can now hold up the drivers behind him, like Miku, who's on fresh mediums, El Grande, who's on softs, and also maybe Hida Joshua. Joshua's also on soft, so he might be one to watch for these final 7 laps now as well.
Fairhand's in the box seat here. Look how quickly he's caught up to the top 2. Thought he was going to go down the inside. That really wouldn't have been a good idea. I think he just needs to wait this out because he's got such better tyres than these two in front of him. And he's looking to the outside of Schulz. He's going to be able to make that move stick. I think he'll just have better traction, surely. Yeah, he does. Although I can't tell because they've lagged. And did Schulz go into the wall there? Was that lag? I don't know.
I think he actually has gone into the wall. And I can't really blame Fairhand for that because Schultz is lagging massively. And you just have no idea where he actually is on track. But Joshua's really close to hit in the background. He can't make the move into here though, and Miku just wants to get past that Red Bull in front. And once again, I think I know what it might be. I think Rattica can't see Schultz. That could be it. And Lewis has gone past Joshua. Somehow Lewis has gone past Joshua. At a very odd place, the drivers are going off left, right, and centre, and that's Schultz being hit from the outside, and he's dropping down now. And I think it might just be down to lag. I think it's really difficult for the other drivers to leave space for a car that is not really there as solid as a proper car on track. It's more like in left, right, and centre. But look at Fairhand; he's still really close to Matt, and Matt is going to have a hard time staying in front of that Red Bull on fresher and better tyres for the last couple of laps. And the the DRS is enabled on this lap as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Schulz probably needs to do some work between now and next week to try and make that connection a little bit better, because it's pretty difficult for the others to drive with him at the moment, unfortunately. And hopefully that can improve in future weeks. But yeah, Furhan, a little surprised he hasn't got past Matt yet. He isn't exactly clambering all over the back of him either. So
Maybe he's
Matt's
still
going to
waiting.
desperately try and hold this on, or onto this, but it's going to be a tough ask.
Maybe he's still waiting on that DRS to come in, which is available this lap. So he might go for it. He is definitely very, very close. 3/10. He's done a good job to stay so close to the car in front in the middle sector there. But it is definitely easier when you are on a quicker tyre. It is very difficult when you are on the same compound and you've got equal pace. But I think Matt might have to give ways on this lap.
Yeah, 20 laps on those hards, they won't be feeling great, and Fairhand's got him before we're halfway down the straight, such is the advantage, and likewise Miku has got past Ritaka. Ritaka held up Miku for as long as he could, possibly trying to help out his teammate as El Grande goes down the inside as well, and he gets up to fourth as well, so Ritaka losing. Oh! What's happened further down?
Lewis has spun round! Joshua's gone past Hide in the meantime. So Joshua's up to 6th. Might gain a place from Rataka, who was on 21 lap old hards, and Joshua's on 4 lap old soft, so it's going to be difficult. Lewis is retired actually on track, which is not really what you want to see. But yeah, a very easy game for Fairhan in terms of that overtake. He just had much better tyres. I respect the gamble that Matt took. I can definitely understand it as well. He probably have hoped for the other drivers to hold up there just that little bit more, but they didn't. And Matt basically had no chance, and now Matt has to concentrate to actually stay in front of those guys behind.
Oh, and Gio's looking for a move down the inside of Bjorn at a very odd place. You don't usually see overtaking there, and they're still going to carry on side by side into the penultimate corner. There's great racing between the pair of them, and nearly come into contact. It looks like Gio's got the move done, but then again, I think then Bjorn will have a DRS, so...
That was great. Bjorn, though, has got wing damage, as it looks like. And Bjorn is trying to come back for another round in the slipstream. Gio tries to close the door. He can't do it quite. And there goes Gio. Beautiful switchback, slight contact. Well, that was fully alright. And what a switchback. Joshua has gone past Rataka, but now Hida tries to get back past Joshua as they go side by side, and Joshua gets re-overtaken. Great move from Hida there, and I think Joshua didn't really expect that. Joshua was up to P5 briefly, but then lost the place to Hida. Probably got slowed down by Rataka a little bit while he tried to overtake him, but I think Joshua has a bit more pace than Hida, so he might be able to get back past him. He basically needs to on his fresher tyres.
A lot of respect to Matt. He's not like I thought. Miko would be all over the back of him, like probably by now actually. But he's not really gaining on Matt. To be fair, Matt's holding some pretty good pace out there on those hard tyres. So who knows? He may yet be able to hold on to second place, which would be a fantastic achievement.
I don't know what it looks like in terms of penalties. I'll just wait for the start-finish line to tell us, or for the final results to tell us. But maybe Fairhan has got one more penalty than Matt. Who knows? And Matt is just trying to stay within that 3-second gap. What makes sense that he didn't defend then. But yeah, Joshua has closed back up to Hida now, and El Grande is pretty close to Miku as well. But Hida definitely needs to make that move stick. Either on this lap or next lap, otherwise his softs will die out, and it will be nearly impossible to actually make a move, as we've got 4 laps left in this race and it's still everything to play for.
Do you want me to have a look at penalties, or do you want to keep it as a surprise for the end of the race?
You can have a look if you want. You can have a look. I wouldn't mind, but I definitely want to keep the camera on the action right now, as Gio is closing up to Rataka, who is just a lot slower right now on his 23 lap old hards. But like you've mentioned, Miku is not too far away from Matt.
Pretty even in terms of penalties, actually. The only penalty Furhan's got, you probably remember, is that 5-second penalty he got.
Yeah.
Under the safety car, which he probably will be able to get removed. In terms of Matt, he's got 1 penalty. Matt's got 2 penalties. Miku's got 1. El Grande's got 3. So
what about
close.
Hida and Joshua? They're not too far away.
Yep. Hida's got 5. Josh has got... Well, Josh has done well, actually. He's only got that 1, which he got very early on.
Oh, so not too bad from him. He could move up quite a lot of positions now. As you said, 3 pens for El Grande, you said? 3?
Yep, 3 penalties.
Oh, so he might move up a position, and maybe he's able to get Miku as well. No, Miku had 3 seconds. Matt had 6, right?
Yeah, Matt's got 6, Miku's got 3. Miku's actually in a pretty strong position at the moment.
Yeah, but Fairhand probably won't win on track, but he probably won't win on pens, but like we've mentioned, that will probably be removed. Or he actually might win on pens. You say he only got those 5 seconds.
Yeah, he's only got that 5 seconds, so he might not win it across the line, but then, of course, there's a very good chance that might get removed afterwards.
Look at Joshua, by the way, who's lost a lot of time to Hida, and Hida is really close to Grande now, so Joshua might not maximize his potential in terms of time penalties. But
looks like the soft tyres are starting to go.
Yeah, that might be the case. Grande is losing time to Miku now as well. Hida is playing some mind games with the car in front with Grande, just pulling out ahead of the braking zone. We can see that quite often in real life. Drivers just pulling to the inside, pretending they're making a move, and then actually not going for a move, just to make the driver in front maybe a bit nervous, put them off a little bit maybe. But is Gio actually going to go for a move here? No, he's not. As I wanted to go on board with Joshua, and most people are very low in ERS right now. Miku's got quite a solid amount, but everyone's pretty dead on ERS more or less.
One potential person to watch out for when they cross the line is Rataka, because he doesn't have any penalties.
Oh, that could prove.
And Gio's just got his 2nd, and Hida's got his 6th.
That is not good at all. Hida's got to drop down massively, probably even outside the point. Outside the point will be difficult with Schultz being 19 seconds behind, but we could still see a move from Miku maybe. He doesn't need to. On pens, he would be in front. As we're starting the last lap, Verhaan in the lead. Maybe he can still win on track, even though he's got that 5-second pen. But maybe Hida goes for a move, and that is El Grande defending last lap of this race, and the softs are starting to go off. Let's see, can Hida get the better exit of the two? He's got the DRS now, he's got the inside line for turn 2 as they go side by side. And does he get the move done? Still side by side. He now needs to get the traction down. Still side by side through turn 3. What great racing in between those two. If they go side by side through turn 5, that's going to end in tears, is it? One driver gets pushed off. That's El Grande having to track extend there slightly. Hida can't get the move done, but what a fight in between those drivers. That's great racing.
That's fantastic racing between the pair of them. That was just heart-in-mouth stuff, but they kept it clean, kept it fair. A little bit of contact at turn 5, that's to be expected.
Dan gets 3 seconds.
That could be absolutely crucial in the race results for Verhaan.
Sorry for that.
Oh, and Hida's going for the outside.
Whoa!
No! Got squeezed a bit. Maybe El Grande didn't know he was there, but they're still going for it. To the penultimate corner.
As we've got Verhaan crossing the line, he wins on track. How is it with pens? But they're still going side by side for P3 entree. They're going to be side by side across the line, and it is Hida taking the spot on track, but losing out on pens. And Rataka gets P4. Verhaan actually still wins the race. Miku gets P2 as Matt finishes P3 with that one. Rataka gets P4. Joshua gets P5 as his softs were dying at the end. And I think the softs was the wrong decision in the end.
Yeah, the soft tyres just went off towards the end. I think the mediums was the right call, and look at that. Thanks to Hida's penalties, he fought for P4 on the line, but drops to P10.
That is so disappointing for him. But now it is Verhaan winning this race, even though he had a 5-second and a 3-second. So a great work from him. Perfect strategy call as the last safety car came out. And he basically did everything he needed to do to be on the top step at the end of this race. I think we saw quite a good race considering it was Hungary.
Absolutely, a lot more overtaking than I perhaps expected. A lot of drama, and we didn't really know who was going to win the race until the latter stages, but Verhaan did a fantastic job throughout the race. He stayed out of trouble had great pace, and ultimately called the strategy right on the last safety car period, and well done to him for that.
Absolutely. And Matt gets P3 in the end as he stayed out on his hards, went for track position, lost the position on pens in the end to Miku, who did a great job as well. He didn't have the best pace, but he did very solidly to finish P2 in the end. With his strategy, Joshua finishes a strong P5. Rataka takes P4 on pens, even though his pace wasn't great, and that's what you need for a championship in the end, to be consistent even when you are not too fast. Gio picks up P6 in the end, even though he overtook Joshua right before the end. Al Grande 7th, Cortez finishes 8th. He will be happy with that, considering how far down the field he was right before the last safety car. Björn only takes 9th, very disappointing for him, as Hide dropped down from 3rd or 4th to 10th in the end. So very, very disappointing. But what a great race we've had. What a fantastic race.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the people on the podium, I think, deserve to be there. Could argue perhaps Miku got slightly fortunate with the timing of a safety car, but he took that gamble and it really paid off for him. And a big shout to Rataka as well. Like, his fastest lap is probably the slowest one out there out of those who finished, but he didn't really have any pace throughout the race, but just shows how important keeping it clean is. If you can avoid penalties, you're going to tend to score very good points, even if you haven't got that much pace.
That is absolutely true. You need to maximize everything. I think in the end for him it was coming down to damage limitation, and he did exactly that, even a bit more. I mean, P4 is not a bad result at all. And I'm just going to invite the podium finishers, so I have to talk a little bit because sadly the viewers can't hear you when I'm inviting people, which is yeah, stupid thing I'd say, because don't see a single reason why you shouldn't be heard on stream for that, but there we go. Ferhan is invited then. Where is Miku in this lobby? He's not in this lobby at all. Oh yeah, he is. There he is. Then inviting Miku, and in the end then Matt. And we've only got one driver on this podium who was on the podium last week, so very, very interesting. And it was also only 3rd place. So first and second couldn't keep up with a good result in Austria, and they've dropped outside the top 3.
Shows the unpredictability of racing, and particularly tonight there was so much going on that it was just about keeping it clean. And I think all the top 3 in the end, they weren't the most dramatic to watch, but they brought the car home, and that was the key thing.
Absolutely, you need that consistency. We saw some really good moves today as well, I think, especially through turn 2. A lot of great racing, and that's really what we want to see in the end. As people are joining the party, we've got Mika, we've got Ferhan, and let's see if Matt is able to join. But before I get started, Matt, Ferhan, please make sure you've got your microphone on always shared, otherwise the stream won't be able to hear you. And if that is sorted, I think we can start off with the podium interviews and with our race winner, Ferhan. Congratulations on your win today. Very controlled in the end. Very good strategy call on the last safety car. Were you a bit afraid that you might be stuck in traffic, or you might have difficulties overtaking those guys in front, as it was Matt staying out on his hard tire going for track position?
No, because I know that everyone behind me is going to the pit. They had 5-second time penalty. That collision with Björn, I think, he drove into me, was his fault. So yeah, and had a good pace, can't ruin the traffic. No problem for me. Yeah, controlled them at the end.
Yeah, it looked very controlled as soon as you passed Matt for the lead of this race. It was basically just bringing the car home in the end. And you got that penalty on the last lap, or you then a bit scared that someone could maybe get you?
No.
Alright, so a lot of confidence then. Your teammate, Ratiko, won the race last week. Wasn't the quickest man out on track today, but due to getting no penalties, he finished 4th in the end. and
But he got spun around. And
He got-
first lap.
last lap. Actually,
First lap.
first lap. I actually don't know if I caught that on stream or not. Not too sure, but it looks like you two are going to be the people to beat for the Constructors' Championship this season. Is it going to be more of a rivalry in between you two, or is it going to be like today, just working together and maybe letting some team orders get into the races?
Oh, we are working together.
All right, so a
So
lot
for what a rivalry, so you know.
All right, so a lot of team spirit inside the team, and now you've taken over the championship lead with that race. Next week we are heading to Silverstone. You were pretty confident for this week, and you've won it. Are you equally confident for next week to win another race?
Yeah, Silverstone's a great track, so why not?
All right, so we definitely got one confident championship leader. So huge congratulations on your win today. Very controlled.
Thanks.
And good luck for next week. All right, Jake, if you want to take our second place driver.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations, Miku, on the second place. You didn't look overly confident
Thank
in
you.
qualifying, but you made a great strategy work in a race. Were you sort of pinning your hopes on a safety car when you did that long, hard tyre stint?
Yes, shout out to Finlay. He was my race engineer. Yeah, looking at the F6 race yesterday, I saw that the hard to stop strategy or the reverse strategy is quite good when you start from the back. And yeah, I knew that my one lap pace was horrible. I was doing like 13.7 even in practice, but then it was even worse now in this real quali. And yeah, thank God for the two safety cars. They saved me.
No, you absolutely nailed the strategy calls there. Were you expecting such a good result after qualifying, or were you a bit worried?
No, not at all. And yeah, well, after the first safety car, I was thinking that, goddammit, maybe I should have gone for the medium hard strategy, but luckily, I think it was hyped, or no, El Grande. Now I actually forgot, but luckily they two cars crashed behind me, and that was the after safety car. And yeah, just went perfectly. Good luck.
And a great drive as well. And it looked to me as well like the soft tyres didn't really work in the race trim. Was that something you were aware of and you actively tried to avoid them?
Yeah, I would have maybe used it at the end if there weren't any safety cars, but then I would have been too far away from everybody. So yeah, not really. Hard medium now, especially with the safety car, was the best strategy for me.
And we saw you did some great defending, certainly towards the end of that hard tyre stint. How difficult was it to keep those cars behind you?
It was very difficult. It was like I tried to defend against Ferhan and Matt, but they could just get the switch back. Or Matt overtook me into turn one, and I tried to switch back, but it didn't work with the old hard tires. Just didn't have enough grip to defend. I knew that I was fighting for track position, just in case of the safety car, so that's why I was defending. And yeah, it worked.
And just a quick look ahead then to Silverstone. How do you feel about that track? Are you confident of a good result there?
It should be a better track for me, at least for one lap pace, but let's see. At least a better track than Hungary.
It's good to hear. And yeah, well done on the second place again. Great job.
Yep, thank you.
All right then, as sadly Matt hasn't joined our podium interviews, we only have got two lads in this one. But that is it for round 2 of F5 of PSGL. We had a very, very exciting and very good race. We had very good racing, very fair racing as well in most cases. We definitely need to have a look at what happened for Schultz in the end, because it seemed like it was more down to lag in the end. But a huge thank you to Jake for joining me tonight, for helping me out, as the main second commentator Jack for this season is still on holiday. So a massive thank you, Jake. It was a pleasure to commentate with you.
That was a pleasure as well, and you haven't called me Jack yet, so that's a positive.
Very proud of that as well. Very equal names, but very similar names, not equal. But yeah, that is it for this week. Make sure to tune in next week. Once again, Monday, 7 p.m. UK time for another round of F5. Then we head to Silverstone for the third round of the championship. And yeah, I think we are on for another really good race. And thank you to all the drivers that have turned up. Thanks for all the guys that were in the chat tuning in. And yeah, with that being said, hope to see you next week. And until then, goodbye and take care.